Today has been quite the day, very emotionally draining for me, lots of work for both of us, but today we processed 3 of the roosters that we ended up having.
We are Alex and Elaina, a couple in our mid-20s working towards financial independence and self-sustainability.
Follow our journey as we grow, build, fix, and learn the skills we need to get us there. So we haven't had a video on the chickens for quite some time, but since then we have discovered that we have 3 roosters, and they were cock-a-doodle-dooing all the time, and they definitely were defending their hens, but we only had 5 hens, so we decided to take it upon ourselves and process them.
Last year we took a chicken processing class at a local farm, and that kind of got us primed up for what we were getting into. We had to do a little bit more YouTubing to get the learning refresher we needed to actually do it ourselves, but in the end it wasn't too bad. The reason we decided to process the 3 roosters is you really can't have that high of a rooster to hen ratio because they're so defensive, and so you'll end up getting 1 alpha rooster and then the 2 other roosters get really picked on, and we saw that one of the other 2 roosters in our situation, one day I came home and there was blood on the back of its neck from getting pecked by the alpha rooster to kind of put it in its place. So it's best just to eliminate all of that hierarchy. Not to mention, whenever we went in there, the rooster would peck the hell out of our legs and our feet. So that wasn't the most comfortable either. He's always very defensive on his hens, and it's better now that we just have hens.
Yeah, and so the typical rule of thumb is that you should have at least 8 hens to 1 rooster, and we only ended up having 5 hens. So if you can imagine having 5 hens to 3 roosters, not the greatest situation. We also noticed that they would stress out the hens, so they would chase the hens and actually hold onto their feathers and grab them. So we decided, rather than trying to get rid of the roosters on Craigslist or something like that, we decided to process them ourselves so that we would know that they had the best life that they could possibly have from the day that they were born. It's been a while since I've given you an update on our hens, our coop, and our run, so I'm going to show you some things that we've changed in our run based on how we observed the hens, and I'm also going to give you some feedback on our coop setup. So the first thing I want to talk about is how amazing this linoleum flooring is. You definitely need to put this in your coop. It makes cleaning out the coop so easy, and for us, we only are cleaning out our coop once a month. So we're using what's called the deep litter method for our chickens. So what we do is we put a base layer of pine shavings on the bottom, and then each week we add to that layer. If you can see behind me, where these roosts are is where the majority of the poop is. So I actually haven't had to add a lot of pine shavings over here directly behind me, but I do have to add pine shavings over there. So once a month I'm coming in here and I'm cleaning everything out. My process for doing that is I put a wheelbarrow beneath the coop, and I just take this rake, or a metal rake would work just as good, or a broom, but the broom might catch on to stuff too much. So then I just rake it into this wheelbarrow. It makes it super, super easy. The one thing I love that Alex did is that he took the linoleum and bent it over and actually stapled it onto the back. So I don't have any pine shavings getting into the little crevices back there where I can't reach it. So that's the first piece of feedback I want to give you. The other thing that I love about the coop is I love that we have these windows here. So we actually keep these open all the time because it's blazing hot outside right now. But these are awesome, and we can just turn them and close them, and it's just really nice to have that option if it's storming or something. And then in the winter we'll be able to close them really easily. Now the one thing that I do wish that we had is some type of window on the front side or on the back side where we could see into the chickens. Maybe we'll modify this coop at some point at a later date, but for now everything is working out well, so we're happy with where it's at. A cool thing that Alex and I discovered is that within these pallets, since we use pallets for the coop, they are like little tiny shelves, so we can put stuff inside of it. So we keep the chick grit out here, the chicken grit out here inside this pallet, and then we also also keep their mealworm treats in here, which they go crazy for. So these girls know when I'm gonna give them some treats. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Chirp, chirp, chirp. And they go crazy for these things. One of the changes that we made to our run based on the fact that the chickens were always hanging out underneath the coop is that we added more shade. So we took some of the leftover roofing that I had bought at Home Depot and we just put it on top of this wire. We put it so that the sides were on top of the wood, and then we drilled holes in the metal and zip tied it to the roof. That has been really helpful. We find that they spend more time during the day out and about. Obviously, we're in the midst of the middle of summer, so it's super, super hot outside, but the addition of shade is definitely helpful. Another thing that we noticed is that the chickens were constantly digging and laying inside the holes. So chickens love to scratch. It's very natural for them to dig holes and create these craters all throughout the run. But we realized that they probably needed something to bathe in. So if you've ever had chickens before, or if you haven't had chickens before, you need to know that they want to dust themselves. So they want to be able to keep themselves clean, and they do that by what they call dust bathing. And so we decided to create them an area where they could dust bathe. And what we did is we just took an old log that was super long, we cut a portion of it, and then we threw some sand dirt mixture in there, and they have had so much fun cleaning themselves off and playing in it. Also, it's pretty cool in the sand, so I think that helps as well. One of the last modifications that we've added to the run is that we've added an external water source. So Alex has that awesome automated watering setup, and they're using it right now actually, but with it being so hot, we found that we really just needed something where they could come and drink gulps of water rather than just getting little pecks of water. So we've added that for now. We probably won't keep that, you know, once it starts getting cooler, but since it's so hot, we want to make sure that they have water at all times. The negative part about having an external water is that you have to clean it every single day. It gets so mucky from them kicking dirt into it, from them perching on it and then pooping in it. So that's the one negative downside of having an external water source. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little update. I need to get back to cleaning the coop and putting new pine shavings in there. So make sure to click the thumbs up if you like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.